Scientists put people who had just fallen in love inside a brain scanner. They expected to see the emotion centers light up. They expected warmth, connection, tenderness. What they actually saw shocked them. The brain scans looked almost identical to the brain scans of cocaine addicts. Love is not just a feeling, it is a chemical takeover. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your brain when you fall in love, you will never experience love the same way again. Most of us have felt it, that specific moment where someone walks into the room and something shifts. You cannot explain it, you just know. Your chest tightens, your thoughts go quiet. Suddenly, everything else feels slightly less important. That feeling you thought was magic? It is, but it is also measurable. Today, we are going inside the brain during every single stage of love, from the very first spark, all the way through heartbreak. And what we find is going to change how you think about every relationship you have ever had. Before we go in, you need to know 3 chemicals, just 3, because these 3 chemicals are running almost everything. First, dopamine. This is your brain's reward chemical. It is released when something feels good: food, achievement, connection. But here's what most people don't know about dopamine. It is not released when you get the reward. It is released in anticipation of the reward. The wanting, the craving, the can't stop thinking about them feeling. That is dopamine. Second, oxytocin. This is called the bonding chemical, released during touch, eye contact, deep conversation. It is what makes you feel safe with someone, what makes you want to stay. Third, serotonin, your mood stabilizer, your emotional anchor. And here's the fascinating part. When people fall in love, serotonin levels drop. They drop to levels similar to people with OCD. That is why you cannot stop thinking about them. It is not romantic poetry, it is your serotonin. Now, let us follow these 3 chemicals through every stage of love. Stage 1, the spark. It happens fast, faster than you think. Research from Syracuse University found that the feeling of falling in love takes approximately 1/5 of a second, 0.2 seconds. In that moment, 12 areas of the brain fire simultaneously. 12. And they release a cocktail of euphoria-inducing chemicals so powerful that researchers compared it directly to the rush of taking cocaine. Now, what triggers it? Sometimes it is physical appearance, sometimes it is a voice, sometimes it is a smell, and sometimes it is something you cannot name at all. That last one is the most interesting because your brain has been quietly building a template your entire life based on every person who made you feel safe, every quality you admired, every wound you carry. And when someone matches that template closely enough, your brain fires before your conscious mind even has a chance to weigh in. You do not choose who you fall for. Your brain chooses, and then it tells you, after the fact. Stage 2, the obsession. This is the phase most people know best and suffer through most intensely. You check your phone constantly. You replay conversations on a loop. You cannot sleep. You cannot focus. You forget to eat. This is not weakness. This is not immaturity. This is serotonin depletion happening in real time. A study from the University of Pisa measured serotonin levels in people who had recently fallen in love. Their serotonin levels were indistinguishable from patients diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. Your brain is literally stuck in a loop, unable to move on from the thought of this person. At the same time, dopamine is surging. Every text message triggers a dopamine hit. Every moment of uncertainty, the unanswered message, the ambiguous comment actually increases dopamine output because your brain is in seeking mode. And seeking is more dopaminergic than finding. This is why the early stages of love feel so addictive. You are not addicted to the person. You are addicted to the chemical loop they trigger. Understanding this does not make love less real. It makes it more honest. Let us look at exactly what is happening inside the brain Jung structurally. When researchers showed people photos of someone they were romantically in love with, several specific brain regions lit up immediately. The ventral tegmental area, your brain's dopamine production center, the caudate nucleus associated with reward learning and craving, the nucleus accumbens, the same region activated by addictive substances. But here's what is equally fascinating: certain brain regions went quiet. The amygdala, your fear and threat detection center, became less active. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for critical thinking and rational judgment, quieted down. This is why love makes people do things that, from the outside, seem completely irrational. Your brain has literally reduced its own ability to think critically about the person you are falling for. Nature designed love to override logic, because if logic ran the show, The vulnerability required to truly bond with another person would feel too dangerous to risk. Love turns off your judgment on purpose, so you are brave enough to stay. Stage 3, deep attachment. The dopamine storm begins to settle. The obsessive checking of the phone slows down. The desperate craving of early love softens, and something quieter and more powerful moves in. Oxytocin, released through physical touch, eye contact, shared laughter, through being truly seen by another person and staying anyway. Oxytocin does something remarkable. It does not just make you feel close to someone, it literally reorganizes your sense of self. Research shows that people in long-term loving relationships begin to include their partner in their own self-concept. When their partner succeeds, their own self-esteem rises. When their partner is in pain, their own stress response activates. The boundary between self and other begins to blur. At the same time, vasopressin enters the picture. This hormone is linked to long-term pair bonding. It is what creates the drive to protect, to stay, to prioritize. Studies on prairie voles, one of the few truly monogamous mammals, showed that blocking vasopressin receptors caused them to lose their attachment to their mate entirely. Instantly, your loyalty to the people you love is partly a hormone. And that is not a reduction of love. That is the miracle of it. Now, we need to talk about something important, because not everything that feels like love is love. Healthy love and obsessive attachment can feel almost identical from the inside, but in the brain, they look very different. Healthy love activates the brain's reward system, yes, but it also maintains activity in the prefrontal cortex. There is still self-awareness, still boundaries, still individual identity. Obsessive attachment, sometimes called limerence, shows something different. The prefrontal cortex stays suppressed for much longer. The fear centers remain highly reactive, and the person's sense of self becomes almost entirely dependent on the presence and approval of the other. The key distinction: healthy love expands you. Obsessive attachment shrinks you. One leaves room for two whole people. The other slowly erases one of them. If you have ever felt yourself disappearing inside a relationship, that was not love failing you. That was your nervous system trying to tell you something. And now, the part no one wants to reach, but everyone eventually does. Heartbreak. In 2011, researchers at Columbia University showed recently heartbroken people photos of their ex-partners. Then they applied mild heat, actual physical pains, to their arm. The same brain region lit up, both times. Heartbreak is not a metaphor for pain, it is pain, processed in the same neural circuits as physical injury. This is why heartbreak is so physically debilitating. The fatigue, the chest tightness, the loss of appetite, the inability to concentrate. These are not signs of weakness. These are neurological withdrawal symptoms. Your brain had built an entire chemical ecosystem around this person. Their presence regulated your dopamine. Their touch released your oxytocin. Their voice stabilized your nervous system. And now that source is gone. Your brain is in withdrawal, exactly like a substance withdrawal. And just like substance withdrawal, the only real cure is time and the deliberate building of new neural pathways. Not suppression, not distraction, new pathways. Which means healing from heartbreak is not about forgetting. It is about growing. Here is the question underneath all of this. Why them? Out of every person you have ever met, why does your brain choose that specific person to fall for? The answer lives in 3 places. First, your attachment style, formed in the first years of your life, based on how consistently your earliest caregivers responded to your needs. Secure, anxious, avoidant, disorganized. Your attachment style becomes the invisible filter through which you experience every romantic relationship after. Second, your imago, a concept developed by therapist Harville Hendricks. Your brain constructs a composite image of the qualities, both positive and negative, of your primary caregivers, and then spends your adult life searching for someone who matches it. Not because you want to recreate pain, but because your unconscious believes that this is the relationship where you can finally get it right. Third, your nervous system's familiarity map. We are drawn to what feels familiar, even when familiar is not healthy, because familiar feels safe to the nervous system, even when it is not. Understanding these 3 forces does not make you a victim of your past. It makes you the most powerful person in your own story, because awareness is always the first step to choice. So, what does love look like? After 10 years? After 20? Most people assume that the brain in long term love simply looks like the early stage brain, but faded. Less intensity, less activation, less chemistry. Researchers at Stony Brook University decided to test this assumption. They scanned the brains of couples who had been together for an average of 21 years, but who described themselves as still intensely in love. What they found was remarkable. The same dopamine-rich reward centers that fire in new love were still firing, but now, alongside them, the brain regions associated with calm, with safety, with deep attachment were also active. Early love is dopamine. Long-term love is dopamine and oxytocin together, the craving and the peace at the same time. This means that lasting love is not the absence of passion. It is passion with roots, and the brain is capable of sustaining it for a lifetime. If, and this is the critical word, if both people keep choosing it. Before we close, one more thing, and this might be the most important thing in the entire video. The same neural circuits activated by romantic love are activated by self-compassion, oxytocin, dopamine, the reward pathways. All of them respond to how you treat yourself. With the same sensitivity, they respond to how someone else treats you. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas showed that people who practice genuine self-compassion have measurably lower cortisol levels, measurably higher heart rate variability, a marker of emotional resilience, and measurably greater capacity for healthy romantic attachment. In other words, the quality of love you can receive from another person is directly limited by the quality of love you give yourself. Your brain learns what love feels like, from you first. So if you are waiting for someone to come along and make you feel whole, your brain is waiting for you to start that process before anyone else can. Love is the most studied and least understood experience in human psychology. We have mapped its chemicals, we have scanned its brain regions, we have measured its timelines, and still, it surprises us every single time, because love is not just biology, it is biology in service of meaning. The chemicals exist so that you will be brave enough to be truly known by another person. The attachment exists so that you will build something that outlasts the feeling. The heartbreak exists so that you will grow in ways comfort never could. And the self-love exists so that you bring a whole person into every connection you make. Your brain falls in love, but you choose what to do with it. That choice is where the real story begins. Your brain learns what love feels like from you first. So if you are waiting for someone to come along and make you feel whole, your brain is waiting for you to start that process before anyone else can. If this video made you think differently about love, even just slightly, drop "ah" in the comments and tell me which stage of love resonated with you the most. The spark, the obsession, the attachment, the heartbreak, or are you in the long-term love stage right now? I read every single one. If you want more videos like this, where we go inside the brain and make sense of the things that matter most in your life, subscribe and hit the bell. New video every week. I will see you in the next one.